Mother's Day had always been sacred in my family. No matter how busy life became, we gathered at my parents' house every year. My older brother would bring dessert, my younger sister handled decorations, the grandchildren filled the backyard with laughter, and Mom always insisted on cooking far more food than anyone could ever eat. It wasn't perfect, but it was tradition. Or at least, I thought it was. 3 weeks before Mother's Day, I called my mom to ask what time she wanted everyone to arrive. She didn't answer. That wasn't unusual, so I left a cheerful voicemail. "Hey, Mom. Just calling to see what you need this year. I'll bring the flowers like always. Love you." Hours passed. Then a full day. Nothing. I figured she was busy. The next evening, I sent another text. Still no reply. The silence felt strange. Mom had never ignored me before. Not once. Then my cousin Rachel accidentally changed everything. She posted a photo in the family group chat showing colorful Mother's Day invitations sitting on her kitchen table. Her caption read, "Can't wait for our family celebration next weekend." My stomach tightened. Family celebration? Invitations? I hadn't received one. At first, I convinced myself it had to be a mistake. Maybe mine was still in the mail. Maybe Mom had forgotten. But something deep inside told me otherwise. Trying not to overthink it, I called my brother. He hesitated before answering. "Hey, what's up?" "I saw Rachel's picture," I said carefully. "Did Mom send invitations this year?" Silence. Too much silence. Finally, he cleared his throat. "Yeah. So, mine hasn't arrived yet." Another long pause. Then he quietly said words I'll never forget. "I thought you already knew." My heart started pounding. "Knew what?" He sighed heavily. "Mom and Dad asked everyone not to tell you." For a few seconds, I honestly thought I had misheard him. "What?" "They said they wanted a peaceful Mother's Day this year." I laughed nervously. "What does that even mean?" He didn't answer. Instead, he whispered, "I'm sorry." Then he ended the call. I sat frozen on my couch, staring at my phone. None of it made sense. I hadn't argued with anyone. I hadn't caused drama. The last family dinner had been completely normal. Or at least, I thought it had been. That night I barely slept. Every possible explanation ran through my mind. Had I offended someone? Was this about money? Was someone lying about me? The next morning, I finally received a text from Mom. Just one sentence. "We're tired of you." Nothing else. No explanation. No emotion. Just 5 cold words that shattered everything I believed about my family. I stared at the screen until the letters became blurry through my tears. I wanted to call. To demand answers. To drive straight to their house. Instead, I noticed something strange. Rachel had accidentally left part of another invitation visible in her photo. A handwritten note. It read, "Remember, don't let her find out until after Mother's Day." My tears stopped instantly. Because suddenly, I realized this wasn't a last-minute decision. My family had been planning this for weeks. And whatever they were hiding, I was going to find out. I didn't cry anymore after reading my mother's text. I couldn't. Something about those 5 words, "We're tired of you," felt rehearsed, almost as if she had been waiting for the chance to say them. Instead of driving to my parents' house or begging for an explanation, I made a decision that surprised even me. I stayed silent. If my family wanted me to disappear, then I would disappear, for now. On Monday morning, I sent my mother one final message. "I understand. I won't contact you again." I hope you have a beautiful Mother's Day. She read it almost immediately. No response. Not a single word. That silence hurt more than the text itself. Over the next few days, I watched my family's social media accounts from a distance. My cousins were sharing photos of gift bags, flowers, decorations, and excited captions about the upcoming celebration. Everyone looked happy. Everyone except me. It was as though I had never existed. Then, late Thursday night, my phone rang. It was my cousin Rachel. Her voice was shaky. Please don't tell anyone I called you. I sat up in bed. Rachel, what's going on? She took a deep breath. I'm so sorry. For what? For staying quiet. The room suddenly felt cold. What are you talking about? Rachel hesitated before speaking again. Your parents have been telling everyone terrible things about you for months. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. What things? They've been saying you're selfish. That you only care about money, that you always play the victim, and that you constantly insult the family behind everyone's back. I closed my eyes. Every word felt like another knife in my chest. None of it was true. I never said those things, I whispered. I know, Rachel replied. At first, nobody believed them. But after hearing the same stories over and over again, people started wondering if they were true. I couldn't breathe. My own parents had slowly turned my family against me. But why? I asked. Rachel was quiet for several seconds. I don't know everything, she admitted. What do you know? She lowered her voice. A few months before Grandma passed away, she changed her will. I frowned. What does that have to do with me? Rachel swallowed nervously. I overheard your parents arguing one night. My heart started racing. What did they say? They kept saying that if you found out the truth, everything would fall apart. I felt a chill run down my spine. What truth? Rachel sighed. I don't know. Every time I walked into the room, they stopped talking. Before I could ask another question, Rachel suddenly gasped. Oh no. What happened? My mom just got home. Rachel, wait. If anyone finds out I called you, they'll never forgive me. The call ended. I stared at my phone for several minutes. Grandma's will. Why would my parents lie about me because of Grandma's will? Nothing made sense anymore. The next morning, I drove to Grandma's old neighborhood. Her house had already been emptied. A large for sale sign stood in the front yard. As I sat in my car, trying to gather my thoughts, an elderly woman from next door slowly walked toward me. She smiled sadly. I've been hoping you'd come back. I looked at her, confused. You know who I am? Of course, she said warmly. Your grandmother talked about you all the time. Tears filled my eyes. Then she reached into her purse and handed me a sealed envelope. She asked me to give this to you, only if your parents never did. My hands trembled as I looked at the handwriting. It was unmistakably Grandma's. Across the front of the envelope were 6 chilling words. Open this only if they betray you. In that moment, I realized something that changed everything. My grandmother had known. Someone in the family couldn't be trusted. For nearly a minute, I just stared at the envelope in my hands. My grandmother's handwriting was unmistakable. Every birthday card, every Christmas letter, every little note she had ever written carried the same neat cursive. There was no doubt. This was from her. My fingers trembled as I carefully broke the seal. Inside were 3 things. A handwritten letter. A small brass key. And a folded copy of what appeared to be the last page of her will. I unfolded the letter first. My dearest Emily, it began. If you're reading this, then something has gone terribly wrong. I prayed I would never need to write these words, but I know my son better than anyone else. My heart nearly stopped. She was talking about my father. For years, your father has believed that love can be measured by money. He has spent most of his life chasing things that never truly mattered. I tried to believe he would change, but I no longer can. Tears blurred my vision. You, however, have spent your life taking care of people without expecting anything in return. That is why I made the decision I did. I quickly unfolded the final page of the will. My name was there. Clear as day. According to the document, Grandma had left me ownership of her lake house, her jewelry collection, and the family photo albums she treasured most. The rest of the estate had been divided equally among everyone else. I finally understood. It had never been about Mother's Day. It had never been about family peace. It had been about the will. If I disappeared, no one would question why I wasn't there when everything was settled. Then I noticed something written at the bottom of Grandma's letter. The key belongs to the safety deposit box at Franklin Community Bank. Inside is everything you'll need if anyone tries to challenge my wishes. Everything. I looked down at the small brass key. Suddenly, every strange moment over the past year started making sense. Dad constantly asking about Grandma's paperwork. Mom insisting that legal matters were already taken care of. My brother avoiding eye contact every time I mentioned Grandma. They hadn't been grieving. They'd been hiding something. The very next morning, I drove straight to the bank. The manager checked my identification before disappearing into the vault. A few minutes later, she returned carrying a small metal box. "This has been waiting for you," she said softly. I unlocked it. Inside were legal documents, Grandma's journal, dozens of family photographs, and a flash drive. The journal explained everything. Grandma had secretly documented every argument she'd had with my parents during the last 2 years of her life. She wrote about the pressure they put on her to rewrite the will. She described how they repeatedly demanded money. She even wrote that my mother had once shouted, "If Emily gets anything, she'll never share it with us." I felt sick. Then I plugged the flash drive into my laptop. There were videos. Dozens of them. Grandma had recorded conversations because she feared no one would believe her. One video showed my father saying, "Once she's out of the picture, nobody will question the inheritance." Another captured my mother saying, "After Mother's Day, she'll probably stop talking to us forever." That's exactly what we need. I couldn't believe my ears. They had planned everything. Not just to hurt me, but to isolate me. To make me walk away on my own. So no one would suspect what they had done. For the first time since receiving Mom's cruel text, I stopped feeling heartbroken. Instead, I felt something else. Calm. Because the truth was finally in my hands. And unlike my parents, I wasn't going to fight with lies. I was going to expose them with the truth. But before I could make my next move, my phone buzzed. It was a message from my older brother. Just 6 words. "Please don't tell them I warned you." I stared at the screen. If my brother was scared, then someone else in the family already knew what was coming. I didn't call my parents. I didn't confront them. And I definitely didn't tell them about the letter, the journal, or the videos. Instead, I waited. Mother's Day arrived exactly 1 week later. The family gathered at my parents' house, just as they had planned. Everyone was there except me. At least, that's what they believed. I parked a few houses away and watched as relatives walked inside carrying flowers, cakes, and wrapped presents. They laughed. They hugged. They smiled for family photos. My parents looked happier than they had in months. They truly believed they had won. Around noon, my phone buzzed. It was another message from my mother. See? Everyone is happier now. I stared at the screen. For the first time in weeks. I smiled. Because she had no idea what was about to happen. The next morning, I contacted the attorney who had handled my grandmother's estate. After reviewing every document, every journal entry, and every video recording, he looked at me and quietly said, "They knew exactly what they were doing." Within days, legal notices were sent to every family member involved in hiding my grandmother's final wishes. Not because I wanted revenge. Because Grandma deserved justice. A week later, my attorney invited the entire family to his office for what he called a necessary clarification regarding the estate. No one suspected a thing. When everyone arrived, they expected another routine legal meeting. Instead, the attorney connected my grandmother's flash drive to the large screen in the conference room. The first video began playing. No one spoke. My father's voice filled the room. "Once Emily walks away, no one will question the inheritance." My mother's face instantly lost all color. The second video played. Then the third. Then excerpts from Grandma's journal were read aloud. Every lie. Every threat. Every attempt to manipulate her. Was exposed. The room was completely silent. My cousins looked horrified. Rachel quietly began crying. My older brother lowered his head in shame. No one defended my parents. Not one person. Finally, my father stood up. "This is being taken out of context." The attorney calmly replied. "There are 23 recordings." Dad sat back down. Without saying another word. For the first time in my life. He had nothing left to hide behind. Over the following months, everything changed. The court confirmed my grandmother's final wishes exactly as she had written them. The lake house became mine. Her jewelry and family keepsakes were legally transferred to me. More importantly, her reputation was finally protected. As for my parents, the family they had manipulated slowly pulled away from them. Phone calls became rare. Holiday invitations stopped. The same isolation they had carefully planned for me became their own reality. One afternoon, nearly 6 months later, I received another text from my mother. "Can we please talk?" I looked at the message for a long time. Then I remembered another message. 5 words. "We're tired of you." I quietly deleted her text. Not out of anger. Not out of hate. But because I had finally learned that forgiveness doesn't always require reconciliation. Some people lose access to your life because of the choices they make. Not because of the boundaries you set. That evening, I drove to Grandma's lake house for the first time as its rightful owner. I sat on the old wooden dock and watched the sun disappear beneath the water. For the first time in over a year, I felt completely at peace. Grandma hadn't left me the house because I was her favorite. She left it because she trusted me to protect what mattered most. The truth. Family isn't defined by blood. It's defined by loyalty. And sometimes, the greatest revenge isn't making the people who hurt you suffer. It's living a happy life they can never take away.